Hello, and welcome to another edition of Only in Illinois, your weekly video recap from Reboot Illinois. I'm Madeleine Doubek here with Matt Dietrich, and we did some more post-Labor Day polling this week that we thought we'd share with you in a little more depth. Labor Day is always thought of as the traditional kickoff of the campaign, but at least in the governor's race, these guys have been going at it pretty hot and heavy for quite some time.
Yes.
So our poll shows that the race is getting a little bit tighter. Rauner is up by about 8 points, 8 percentage points. He had been up by as much as 14 in our previous look, and I think 10 before that in June. So there's an interesting shift happening there.
Right. We've done 3 polls so far in the governor's race, and if you go to rebootillinois.com, we've done a compilation of all the polling from all sources going back to March, and you're still not seeing a trend develop, even though we're seeing some tightening in our own polls. If you look at our poll on reboot.com, it's up and down depending on who the pollster is. I think what we're going to see now that we're into the fall, we had the election, it's only about 7.5 weeks away. Now you're going to start seeing some trends. Now you're going to see, my theory is this race is going to be very close by the time we get to November 4th.
Right. So just to refresh everybody, these are automated polls. They're of about 1,000 plus likely Illinois voters, done by We Ask America. And we wanted to, Matt and I talked, and we wanted to really kind of get at whether all this mudslinging was having an effect and who was it hurting more. So we also took a couple of days this week and asked voters, whom do you trust more, Bruce Rauner or Pat Quinn? And interestingly, that was nearly a tie for statistical purposes.
Right, much closer, and it also had a larger sample size.
Right.
Had 2,100 poll respondents because it combined, that question was asked on 2 consecutive polling nights.
Right, so clearly the mud throwing is tightening things up and kind of bringing them both down, it looks like, for now.
And it's a subtle difference between the 2 polls. On the first one we were asking, who would you vote for if the election is today? So Bruce Rauner finished 8 percentage points ahead. Well, then when we shifted it to who do you find more trustworthy, got a lot closer. And again, it's, on both sides.
With Rauner ahead a little bit, but really not much difference when you consider the margin of error.
Right, and the trustworthy issue, this is, both candidates have introduced this. We have Bruce Rauner saying Quinn's not trustworthy because he's involved in a patronage hiring scandal at the Department of Transportation, and we've got the whole Neighborhood Recovery Initiative, anti-violence program query going on now. Meanwhile, you have Pat Quinn asking questions about Bruce Rauner's business dealings and trying to portray him as being less than honest about his position on the minimum wage.
Right.
So this has been, I'm not sure how much it should figure into the election, but it's become a big issue.
Well, it's the only things they're really talking about, so it is what it is. And then how about the Senate race? There's some interesting things happening there. There's been some shifts back and forth. We have Oberweis again narrowing the gap a little bit, but these guys have been really not getting much media attention or out there campaigning very hard.
Right, and I think, actually, I suspect that's going to change because nationally, the Republicans are very eager to pick up seats in the Senate. I don't think they're looking at Illinois as one of those pickups, but as an indication of how much national attention this is getting, we got a call here from Fox News, and I did a little interview about our poll. I wasn't really able to give all that optimistic an interpretation on Jim Oberweis's behalf. He finished, he's 10 points behind Dick Durbin in our latest poll. Now that's better than he had done in the previous 2 polls that we did, one in June and one in late July. Those were 13 and 15. So it's better, 10% is better that way. But a week before our poll, the Chicago Sun-Times used We Ask America, the same pollster we used.
Right.
They found Oberweis at that time with an
Down
8
by
point.
seven.
Yeah,
7 points. Yeah.
So, you know, is there a trend here? I'm not really sure, but, you know, Oberweis's numbers in Chicago are not encouraging at all for him.
And Dick Durbin does pretty well in suburban Cook,
Right,
which
right.
could become key for the Democrats.
Mhm.
So, lots more to go, but that's how it's looking at the moment. Again, this is just one thing to look at as you weigh for whom to vote and consider whom you trust more than another candidate out there. But we'll keep telling you all about the polls and hope you keep tuning in and reading about the candidates' positions on the issues. You can find a whole lot more at rebootillinois.com. Thanks for watching.